Hey guys, welcome back to another video. 9 months later, I know, I'm sorry for not uploading, but I just finished my freshman year at NYU STERN and I have some insights. I have an honest review, some regrets from the year, some tips, so if you're considering coming here or you're coming here next year, I have some tips for you. Just for some background information, I am a business major and I'm concentrating in finance and marketing, but I'm also doing a producing minor, like film production minor in Tisch, which is the film school that's also in NYU. So I honestly think that I have a pretty cool perspective of both schools. So number one thing we're going to cover obviously is academics and how hard the classes are, curve, everything like that. So to preface, in the last 2 semesters, I've taken principles of financial accounting, statistics, calculus, and micro econ, and I think those are the main business and finance related courses. There also are some required writing courses, so for example commerce and culture and business and society, but I think the main hard skills I learned from those classes are critical thinking, writing an essay quickly, working with the team, just stuff like that. So I would say specifically in my accounting class, I had this new professor who is very much a stickler to the Stern curve, which if you don't know is or 35% of the class gets an A or A-, which is really unfortunate because this curve applies to all classes in Stern that have over 25 people in them. So basically all of your important business classes. My accounting professor is a very stickler to the curve, in where he would actually give people C's, which I don't think is a very common thing in Stern. I think the lowest grade that people usually get is either a B or B- just because of the curve. Also, a lot of people say you have a lot of free time in college because you only have 1.5 hour courses, maybe 2 courses each day, so it's 3 hours of class, versus in high school you have 8 hours of class. I would say time management honestly was really difficult for me, even though you have so much free time. I think NYU specifically, because you're in the city, there's so much to do, you don't necessarily want to just be studying all day. It took a lot of effort for me to really focus in and lock in on studying, because even when you're in BOPS, the library, my favorite rooms are the 6th, 8th, and 10th floor, where there's huge floor to ceiling windows and you're facing north towards the park, and you can literally see the entire city skyline. It's beautiful, but it's kind of distracting if you need to lock in. I just want to go and have fun with my friends, But honestly, I think having a Google Calendar really helped me with that. I hopped on the train of GCal this year, and it was actually a lifesaver, because when you're scheduling coffee chats or interviews, all you have to do is invite somebody on their email to be on the calendar invite, and then if you ever edit the information or anything, they can also see that, and it's just really helpful for planning. And then I also seeing my schedule blocked out in terms of time and where I need to go and all that stuff. So it's very important, and I highly suggest that you guys also get a GCal for college. Back to specific time management for classes though, I would say you don't need to study all day for all your classes, because a lot of the time they don't really give homework per se. I had a lot more homework for calculus, for example, than I did for micro, because micro was graded solely on exams. So you could do some intermittent studying, but a lot of people decided to cram before midterms, and that was also me. I would say probably not the best decision. Definitely don't pull all-nighters, those do not work. But if you want to have focused study days with your friends where you just spend the entire day in the library, that kind of worked for me. So if that's your study method, I would say it's still effective for college if you're in high school and that's what you do right now. Make sure not to cram everything to the day before, because then you're going to pull an all-nighter and that doesn't help your memory. The last thing I'll say about academics is just that grades are not very transparent. I'm really used to in high school I would check my grades every single day on the student portal, oh, did they update my test, my homework, what grade did I get on that. In college it's so different because they just won't put in your grade. I don't know a single final exam score that I got for any of my classes except for micro econ, and they would just not give you oh, you got this question right, this question wrong, or you'd have to give the test back. It's almost just you kind of take what you can get, because I didn't know what my grades, my final grades would be in a single one of my classes until they came out on Albert, the final grade that you can't really change. So it was definitely a big adjustment from high school, because I like to micromanage my grades, but when you're in college you kind of just have to let that go, because there's just no way you're gonna get your grades back. I basically waited till the start of the second semester for one of my grades from the first semester to even get to me, so that was a big change. Now moving on to social life and just culture and stuff like that, this is more Stern specific, but I don't think it was as bad as I thought it would be, because I had heard that it was kind of you know, competitive and very like cutthroat for certain things, and that is true for like clubs or like certain grades for really bad curves in classes, but it's not like affecting my personal life or like my friends at all. I basically have most of my friends within Stern. I have a few outside, but like a lot of the friends I made were within classes, and they're really nice. Like I don't know, I think I might have just like fallen victim to like kind of being pessimistic about like how my college experience is gonna be, but like truly it was really nice. Like it wasn't as competitive as I thought, and yeah, some of the clubs are really competitive, but that's only because like what 300 people apply, that's an exaggeration, and like 8 people get in, and that's not an exaggeration. Like the percentage acceptance for clubs is probably lower than the college itself, but I wasn't really involved in a lot of like the more harder to get in clubs. But I personally joined Marketing Society on their blog, and then also a business fraternity. So those like aren't super competitive, but they're more so just like friendly clubs that you can like really get to know people in, which is what I was looking for more so than like a really cutthroat club. I will say my business fraternity like truly gave me a lot of friends. Like I had a really cool family and also a really cool big, and like I made a bunch of friends there. Like we did a trip to Connecticut together as well. That was really fun. And then there's also like events such as like semi-formal or like family Olympics, just basically bonding time to like get to know people within not even just your family, but like the business fraternity itself. So it was a really nice experience. If you're coming to NYU Stern, I highly encourage you rush. But yeah, back to what I was saying about friends. I made most of my friends through classes, some through clubs, but honestly it's kind of inconsistent whether or not people show up to clubs. So if you don't have somebody who you can text and be like, oh, are you coming to this club meeting today, it might be kind of hard to catch somebody. But it's nice to like start talking to people on like a surface level and seeing if there's anybody you'd like potentially want to be like closer friends with, or like class friends with, like, oh yeah, we have this class together, or so and so. And then the rest of the friends I made were either mutual friends from my already existing friends or like my roommates' friends. It was nice to be friends with people outside of Stern as well, I will say, just because I think a lot of people do get trapped in what's called like the Stern bubble, where your entire social group is just Stern, because you guys just have a lot of like similar talking points and experiences. So like that's okay, but I think branching out is definitely a good thing. Like my roommate next year isn't Stern, and I think it's nice to just like talk about things that aren't like business or class related, because sometimes it just like is all you talk about all day. In my first semester, I really struggled with loneliness though, because it wasn't anything about my friends, like that wasn't the issue, but it was more so just that like when I went in my dorm, like even though I do have a roommate, like if I was ever in the dorm by myself, I would just get like really lonely and like start to feel like I have no friends. And obviously that's not true, like I literally have so many friends that I can hang out with, but just the feeling of being lonely because you're in such a big city with so many moving parts and everybody feels like they're doing their own thing, you know, doing great things, and you're just kind of in your room, is really heavy. And honestly it was really tough to get through. But second semester, just getting out of the dorm more and like not staying inside all the time truly helped me get out of that. Next, I'm going to talk about living just in New York City in general, whether that's for college or just general life. For college specifically, like if you're coming to NYU, like the internship and networking opportunities are just actually unparalleled, because for example, my roommate invited me to basically attend New York Fashion Week, and I was like, well yeah, of course I'll go. So it's like that sort of thing where everything's just happening right outside of your dorm, and you can go and see like some of the most important like fashion events, music events, like really just like a walk from your dorm. So for example, like when the Met happened, I was studying for my finals, but like I could have walked up to the Met and then just like watched from the outside. And that doesn't sound like a huge deal, but like to me, as someone who's like really interested in fashion, like that's a really cool perk that being in New York truly has. So again, with like the fashion week thing, I was able to volunteer and like see people doing like a runway and doing the behind the scenes logistics. That was just really interesting because I never thought I'd get the opportunity to see a true like fashion show, but here I am, you know? And then if you're into concerts and that sort of thing, I'm not from a place where people, like my hometown is not a place where artists tour a lot. So being able to see literally like Chapel Roan and Ethel Cain, every Broadway show ever, like just on my doorstep. I mean, for a hefty price, but like you get discounted tickets through NYU as well. By the way, it's called Scholastics. Just all of those things being so available to you truly feels like something that you just can't get at any other school. Like what, maybe Columbia, but like just come to NYU. But also I will say the weather does play a big impact. I'm from a more southern place than New York, and I did not realize how cold it got, but it got cold so quick and it got dark so quick in the winter that I'm pretty sure that was like 50% of what like contributed to me basically being depressed throughout the entire winter time last year. Finally, we're coming to the scariest topic of them all, is the finances of coming to NYU and Stern specifically. For some reason, Stern's tuition is higher than some of the other schools. So for example, Steinhardt and CAS like cost less. And also unfortunately I didn't get any aid, so I'm really struggling to, you know, get this tuition paid and everything. But I'm extremely grateful for the fact that I'm even able to come to begin with. I'm very happy that my parents are willing to make that sacrifice, and there are some opportunities. I think there's Berkeley Scholars or Berkeley Breakthrough Scholars and MLK Scholars. I'm not sure how much scholarship both of those give. On the Common App, it'll have a section if you want to submit an essay to apply for the scholarship, stuff like that. Definitely take advantage of that, because if once you get here, it is kind of difficult to get more aid out of them. There's things called like appeals and also like Stern scholarships, but they are few and far between. So truly, like, really think about whether or not you can afford not just the tuition of the school, but also like the cost of living. Unfortunately, the cost of living is actually really high though, as I've unfortunately realized. I got the meal plan. I got like the lowest meal plan you can, but all freshmen are required to have one, as well as people who are in like traditional style dorms, which are basically just ones without kitchens. But I didn't really finish my meal plan. I had like 20 meal swipes left and then like $0 dining dollars. Like I used all of them. A lot of the time I wouldn't even use my meal swipes on anything crazy. It'd just be like a yogurt, because I would get dinner at a place that's not an NYU dining hall. There's this street like close to campus called, or like basically on campus, called like University Place, and it has like so much food on it. Oh, that one in McDougal Street. Oh my god, like I would always get my food from there, because there's like these burger places that don't close till 3, and they're literally my favorite burgers. Like shout out 7th Street, bro. Oh my god, they're so good. But genuinely, money will leak from your wallet if you don't pay attention. So like if you're planning on coming here, make a budget spreadsheet, like stick to that shit. Like it is so difficult, but you really have to, or else you're gonna lose all your money just buying food, taking the subway, taking Ubers. I don't take Ubers, but like if you do take an Uber, that too. However, I will say the ROI of coming to Stern is actually quite high, not just because of like the quality of the education, which is obviously like good, but you can get the same classes, the same education anywhere. It's really just about like location I was talking about earlier, and also networking. There's so many companies that come to our school. So for example, for my business fraternity, they had a collaboration with Deloitte to have like an info session, basically where you could like scan a QR code at the end if you're interested to like track your attendance. And then also a lot of recruiting events, like recruiters come to the school and talk to you, and even just in clubs. So for example, I am not like official member of a lot of clubs, but I do attend clubs for like entertainment, so Stiva, or like fashion, like Laura, and they basically had like just speaker after speaker from like really high end companies. This includes like Montclair, Google, Chrome Hearts, Gucci, Tom Ford. And they had like the CEO of Oscar de la Renta as well one time. So it's really just like those really unique and niche opportunities that like make the difference of being at NYU Stern. So truly, if you want to make the most out of your experience and your investment, your like monetary investment in the school, networking is key, and truly that is where most of your investment is going towards. Now I'm just going to talk about basically my personal experience. I've been giving a lot of like advice and tips, but I want to just talk about like how my year went in general. Starting out, I truly had no experience whatsoever in like business, finance, anything. I barely knew what IB or PE stood for. Like I was truly like fresh, like out of high school. So coming here was a huge culture shock, just given how, I mean, obviously how smart people are, but also how accomplished everybody is. Like you are truly in the room with like so many smart people. I thought I was like intelligent, but once I got there, I'm truly just an average student. Throughout my year, I did have to sacrifice a lot of my hobbies. So for example, I haven't uploaded on YouTube in 9 months. Sorry. And then I also haven't bullet journaled in a long time. That was like my main hobby. I barely was able to play flute, and the only reason I sustained it was because I was able to take 2-credit 30-minute weekly flute lessons for an additional $322 on my tuition. They weren't like really in depth or anything, but I really did like my flute teacher, and being able to like pick up my flute and have something to practice for was one of the only ways I could maintain my musical hobbies, because I didn't have time to join like the orchestra or the band, and it's a huge time commitment for me, so I just wasn't able to. But if you're really interested in music and you're not in like a music major, definitely go for it. I wasn't able to do as much as I wanted to in the city. Like as much as it was fun to explore and like do fun things, there's so many things I see on my phone where I'm like, oh shoot, I should have done that when I was in the city. Like I just feel like there's never enough time to do everything that you want to, so you truly just have to figure out what's most important to you. So this year, because I was still settling in, I prioritized more so my academics and trying to maintain like good mental health, and I think next year I will be trying to delve into my hobbies more. So obviously I'm gonna try to vlog more, and then also I want to get back on my bullet journal. I will say though, coming to college really does change you. I have a lot of new hobbies now. I wouldn't say I replaced my old hobbies, but I did develop new hobbies. hobbies. I'm much more into fashion now. I'm much more into like sewing, upcycling, thrifting. Like I literally just thrifted this the other day. I sewed the hem on and everything. I think I was kind of lucky in that throughout the year I genuinely kept it like an okay sleep schedule where I didn't go to sleep at like 4:30 every day. But like my typical day would be wake up at 8, go to my, or get ready, not eat breakfast. I don't know why I just didn't eat breakfast at all, but I would go to my 9:30 class, go to my 11 o'clock class, and then common hour basically is when all the clubs happen. So I'd go to a club, probably get food from the club, or just eat and not go to a club meeting, and then maybe have a class after that. If I didn't have a class, I'd either study or hang out with my friends in the park, or like maybe go to like walk around Soho or something. That barely happened. I mostly just did studying, but like, you know, you can do whatever once you're done with classes. And then I had dinner around like 7 or 8, and then I would just walk straight back to my dorm, chill, and then sleep at like 12. So it was like an okay schedule. I do kind of wish I did more active socialization, so that's also something I'm going to be working on next year. One of the bad things I did experience though was burnout. I think this is pretty common in college, but I think in Stern in particular, like what I said earlier, you're surrounded by so many accomplished people, but because of that you feel as if you're behind all the time. So I was really working hard to try to like, you know, catch up and like be on the same speed as everybody else. When you're surrounded by people who are like already thinking about doing recruiting, interviews, networking, everything for like that sophomore spring recruiting season for things like IB and consulting and whatnot, like it really gets in your head, especially if you're not somebody who's super sure what you want to do. Like that'll really get to you. I'm not saying recruiting is a bad thing, but it really does affect what you think you want to do with your life just because you hear about it so much. Like I've considered doing recruiting just because of all the things I hear about it, but if you're not interested in that kind of thing and you know what you want to do, so for example, if you're really into entertainment and you really want to do that specifically, you have to keep sight of your own personal goal, or else these like different opinions and perspectives will really get into your head about like what you want to do for the future. Okay, well this section is labeled like regrets and like things I would do differently, but none of them are like truly regrets, but just more so lessons I've learned, or like things that I'm happy I learned now before it was too late. As much as I would like to do entertainment, I wish I did attend more general meetings where like you don't have to be a member for things like, you know, finance society or like private equity group, because like I don't know anything about those things, and I think it'd be nice to at least, you know, sit in on their info sessions, see what they're about, like see what they're gonna be talking about. I think I kind of miss those opportunities in lieu of like what I knew I would 100% be interested in. Know what you want to do personally, but also like take a listen in on like other paths that people might be taking. Okay, and then this is a really specific regret, but please, oh my god, for the love of everything, if you can take a course equivalent of Calculus 1 before you get to NYU, like genuinely do it. I'm not saying I'm bad at math. Like I learned calculus in high school, but I didn't get a high enough score on my HL math exam because they only take a 6 or a 7, and then for APs, I think they take AP Calc BC, like if you get a 5. But truly, if you have one of those scores, like genuinely apply them right now, because this class, like in particular NYU, is so bad for some reason. Like it's not hard content, it's really easy content, but then the midterms and the finals were like the worst I've ever seen. Like it was not the same class, I swear. So I used my 1 pass fail that you get per year, and I pass failed Calc because I just did not have time to deal with that class while I was also juggling accounting and my other classes. That basically covers all of my freshman year experience. I think looking forward, I'm obviously very excited for sophomore year because, you know, try to get back to my hobbies, talk to more people, you know, start getting into my career mindset because I have to find another internship for next year. Despite every bad thing I may have said in this video, truly, I think my college experience at NYU Stern specifically could not have been better, and I learned all the lessons I needed to learn. I had really great experiences, I made really great friends, and I can't wait if you are going to come here next year to meet you guys next year. So that'll be really fun. Again, as I said earlier, I do plan on continuing to upload to this channel, whether that be vlogs from throughout the school year or like advice videos. Just let me know what you guys want to see, because like genuinely I can do like any video. I have a lot of advice I could give, so if you have any more questions, make sure to ask me in the comments, or like I can even make a separate video on like really big topics. But yeah, I'm so happy that you guys made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, you know, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.